presiding over today's service. I want to thank you on behalf of the McGann family for coming out and celebrating Rudy's life. We're going to hear today about how he touched so many, how he served so many, how he loved so many. We're going to hear from the people that are closest to him. Today we're being produced for all over the country. There are people that loved him that could not make it to this service and are watching right now, streaming live. So I'd ask you to silence your cell phones so that we can ensure that the individuals that are watching this service, as well as the family, will have an experience that is uninterrupted. We're going to hear from several people today, and we're going to get a taste of what Rudy enjoyed and how he enjoyed it. First, we're going to bring up Mr. Chris Tyson, who is going to give a tribute. And then shortly after that, and I would ask that you come forward as well, it's going to be Miss Cassine Jackson, who's going to give a poem. So first, I would ask that Mr. Chris Tyson come forward and provide a New Orleans homecoming.
Good afternoon. The love of life, music, and culture that was so evident in Rudy is reflective of his native home, New Orleans. In New Orleans, the jazz funeral has long been a feature of the way that many communities say goodbye to loved ones. That jazz funeral features the second line. And the second line is a tradition of celebrating life through music and dance. And the first line is the band, the brass band, that plays jazz music whether we are celebrating or mourning. And the second line are those of us who follow along. After the conclusion of this service, the McGann family invites you to join in the second line. As we say in New Orleans and South Louisiana, even in the midst of our grief, we will let the good times roll. Thank you.
I would ask Miss Jackson to come forward to provide the poem.
This poem is respectfully dedicated to my line brother, my brother, Rudy McGann. If, by Rudyard Kipling. If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, if you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance of their doubting too, if you can wait and not be tired of waiting, or being lied about, don't deal in lies, or being hated, don't give way to hating, but yet don't look too good nor talk too wise. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two imposters just the same, if you can bear to hear the truth that you've spoken, twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or watch the things that you gave your life to broken, and stoop and build them up again with worn out tools. If you could take one heap of all your winnings and risk them on one turn of pitch and toss, and lose and start again at your beginnings, and never breathe a word about your loss. If you can force your heart, nerve, and sinew to serve your term long after they are gone, but so hold on, but there's nothing left in you except the will to say to them, hold on. If you could talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings, nor lose the common touch. If neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you, but none too much. If you could fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, man, if yours is the earth and all that's in it, but what is more, you'll be a man, my son. If, by Rudyard Kipling, respectfully dedicated to my brother, Rudolph McGann.
I think it's okay to give him a round of applause for that. Fill this room with a little bit of a celebration. We're going to have our obituary reading by Nicolette Gordon. And as she arrives, thank you.
Rudolph McGann, a loving husband and father, a defender of democracy, and a bon vivant who lived the good life in food and music, made his spiritual transition on March 29th, 2021. He was 46. Rudy, or Rudes as he was also known, was a man of boundless passions and countless friends. The consummate host, Rudy's annual homecoming parties were legendary, a fixture on the fall DC social scene for a vast network of friends, lawyers, artists, writers, frat brothers, and Bloomingdale neighbors, who all met at Howard University in the late 1990s. Howard, the Mecca, is also where Rudy met his beloved wife, the writer and professor, Natalie Hopkinson, whom he married in 2001. Rudy was born in New York City on June 28, 1974, to Beverly and Rudolph McGann Sr., both of Kingston, Jamaica. A gifted student, Rudy graduated with top honors from Brother Martin High School in New Orleans, Louisiana. He then studied political science at Howard University, graduating Phi Beta Kappa in 1996. He earned his Juris Doctor degree from Howard University Law School in 1999. As a Howard undergraduate, Rudy met Natalie, who described their brief, intense college romance and breakup in a 1997 essay in the Washington City paper. "We shrugged when I got carded and couldn't get into the club," she wrote. "Our attraction to each other whirred along those jazz riffs and settled into a cool groove." They reunited soon after the article was published, and their family grew with Maverick, born in 2000, and Maven in 2003. He described his views on fatherhood in a 2020 Mother's Day letter to Natalie. "The gift of life you have given me is not just their birth. You make me whole. You bestowed upon me the honor of being a family man. That honorific means everything to me. Thank you for making me the man that I am, and the legacy that will endure." Rudy's many pursuits illustrated his deep commitment to family and community service. He was a proud member of the nation's oldest historically black fraternity, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity, Inc. Beta Chapter. He was active in the Mu Lambda alumni chapter in Washington, D.C. Rudy also served as a team captain of his billiards league, Get Down on It, as well as co-vice president of the Banneker Academic High School parent-teacher organization. He coached youth football and basketball and competed with the Y-Tri YMCA National Capital Triathlon team. He dedicated his entire legal career to serving D.C. residents from the Office of the General Counsel for the Board of Elections, where he helped win ballot access, enfranchise voters, and ensure the integrity of the electoral process. Rudy was proud of his winning record in court, His most noteworthy victory was the 2001 case of Marlin versus DC Board of Elections, which upheld the board's right to regulate campaigning at the polls. He also served as an adjunct professor of legal research and writing at the David A. Clark School of Law at the University of District of Columbia. Rudy traveled widely for work and for pleasure. In May 2014, he went to Egypt with a nonprofit Democracy International to serve as an observer to the country's historic first elections since its pro-democracy rebellion. With his family, Rudy explored South America, the Caribbean, Africa, and Europe. And he forged a special connection with Lebanon in a 2018 visit. On that trip to Beirut, Rudy added to his extensive array of tattoos a collection of artwork that reflected his passion for Black culture and U.S. history, especially the struggle to realize the nation's promise of democracy. Rudy's tattoos included tributes to family, as well as art referencing the U.S. Constitution, the Civil War, and Reconstruction. Others honored cultural figures such as New Orleans bluesman Professor Longhair and DC go-go icon Chuck Brown. Rudy's last tattoo depicted Crispus Attucks, a hero of the American Revolution. Rudy's New Orleans upbringing shaped his refined aesthetic tastes and approach to living the good life. He was a superlative chef whose mouth-watering dishes were the centerpiece of his annual Howard homecoming parties. From 5 p.m. to 5 a.m., hundreds of Howard graduates, friends, and neighbors would stream into the family's home to dance, reminisce, and load their plates with Rudy's smoked brisket and chicken and macaroni and cheese. Waves of comers were delighted as he shifted to a breakfast menu at midnight with pancakes, omelets, red velvet waffles, and other confections until the early morning. Rudy showered love and hospitality onto every guest who came into their Washington, D.C. home, made to order omelets for his daughter Maven's volleyball team, smoked meats for Maverick's soccer teammates, key lime pies, and pumpkin swirl cheesecakes for sleepovers, and a feast to celebrate the end of each semester for his law students. He also was an enthusiastic patron and champion of D.C. restaurants across the city. He was the kind of generous tipper who never waited in line at Ben's Chili Bowl, greeted restaurant concierges by name, and was promptly seated by all. The warmth Rudy radiated made instant friends of strangers, and his family often teased him about knowing everyone in D.C. Even the medic who showed up to transport Rudy in his final days greeted him as they were family. The medic had interned at Rudy's office at the Elections Board in the early 2000s. On March 29, 2021, Rudy passed away after a battle with brain cancer. Family and friends will remember his word of the day posts on Facebook, his deep belly laugh, his loudly expressed convictions, his fearless sense of adventure, and how sharp he looked in a tux. He leaves a legacy of love, service, neighborliness, gentlemanly comport, and a passion for justice. Rudy is survived by his loving wife, Natalie, their children, Maverick and Maven, his father, Rudolph McGann Sr., and legions of relatives and friends from all over the world. The Rudes McGann Memorial Scholarship has been established at Howard University to honor his singular expression of excellence and humanity. May he forever rest in power.
Good afternoon. I'd like to play a saxophone solo. I know it says Love Supreme, and Rudy was truly a love supreme in the life of me and my family and my kids. But on my heart is here to play How Great Thou Art. how great thou art.
Thank you for that rendition. Let us pray. Father God, we love you, we magnify you, we glorify you. We thank you for being in this place for our families that are grieving and our friends, that you are the hedge of protection that you've called yourself. We ask that the people in this room hear your voice today, that they feel your presence. They walk away from this place knowing that you're still in control. We love you, we magnify you, we glorify you. In your name we pray. Amen. I'm not going to be long today in front of you. We heard about who Rudy is to most of us, and we will hear more about how Rudy made us feel. But just for a short minute, I want to show you where I found Rudy in the scriptures. Yeah, you heard me right. I searched the scriptures to find Rudy, and I found him. I found him in James 2:14 through 18. James 2:14 through 18. James was the brother of Jesus Christ. He knew Jesus the best. He walked with Jesus. He learned directly from him. And so in James 2:14 through 18, he says, "What good is it, my brothers and sisters, if someone claims to have faith but has no deeds? Can such faith save them? Suppose a brother or sister is without clothes and daily food. If one of you says to them, 'Go in peace, keep warm and well fed,' but does nothing for their physical needs, then what good is it? In the same way, faith by itself, it is not accompanied by action, is dead. But someone will say, 'You have faith, I have deeds. Show me your faith without deeds, and I will show you my faith by my deeds.'" This is where I found Rudy McGann. Right smack in the middle of faith and works. So I'm going to take a moment with you today, just a moment, to preach to you from the subject, the grind that left no one behind. The grind that left no one behind. One of our cultural prophets, Nipsey Hussle, says it this way in his 2018 hit single. He says, "Look, all my life, I've been grinding all my life. Sacrifice, hustle, paid the price. Want a slice? Gotta roll the dice. That's why all my life, I've been grinding all my life." When I think about Rudy, I think about a man whose legacy is left in the relationships that he has nurtured. Some people can create relationships. Some people and most people can keep relationships, but it takes a special type of person to nurture relationships. Nurturing relationship takes work. It takes a grind. And Rudy nurtured relationships, from the pool hall to the fraternity, from the mock trials to the Howard University homecoming barbecues turned breakfast. Rudy made his work the ability to foster and nurture relationships. But his friends and family, they will be the ones that are forever grateful for his selflessness, his passions for life and music, his knowledge and pursuit of history and freedom. Rudy was the quintessential embodiment of hip-hop culture. He exemplified the tension that exists in black excellence. A connoisseur, not only of the fine foods, but of the dopest artists. A brilliant mind who could see things no one else could see. From Coltrane to Stevie, from Black Thought to Black Magic. Rudy, a lawyer that had more ink on his body than degrees on the wall. But most important, he loved. He loved, he loved, he loved, he loved. And then when he got tired, he loved again. And then when he woke up, he loved one more time. He loved his wife, Natalie. He loved Maverick and Maven. He loved all of you. He loved all of us. He grinded and left no one behind. Yasin Bey describes Rude's grind in his 1999 album, Hip Hop. Bey says it this way. He says, "Speech is my hammer, bang the world into shape, let it fall. My restlessness is my nemesis. It's hard to really chill and sit still. Committed to page, I write rhymes, sometimes won't finish the days. Scrutinize my literature, from the large to the miniature. I mathematically add, minister." See, what Mos Def is telling us right there, he's telling us a little bit about Rudy. He's saying Rudy works so hard to make everything he touches better. It's hard for him to rest because he had a tireless commitment to the people around him. So I'm almost done, I promise. I'm a Baptist preacher. They only gave me 7 minutes. But if you're in this room, you're watching from all over the world, it's because you loved Rude. But it's really his example that we loved. So if he was standing here, he might ask you a series of questions about your own legacy, about your own example. He would ask you, he would say, what are you willing to sacrifice? How are you willing to serve? Who are you willing to forgive? What will you stand up for? How will you show up? What will you write? Some of you are so scared. He would ask you right now, what are you willing to invest in? How will you build? Who will you save? How many miles will you run? What will you choose? Who will you love? What is your legacy? How would you grind? Rude showed us the example of his faith and works. He showed us his faith by his works. He showed us his faith through his commitment to relationships. He showed us his life because he loved us. Let me be clear. God often shows up in people for people. Let me say that again. God often shows up in people for people. He was able to show up and show his presence in the life and example of Rudolph McGann. His legacy will forever be remembered for the grind that left no one behind. Amen. We're going to call up Rudy McGann Sr. to give his thoughts about his son. Followed then by a pre-recorded video tribute.
My son, Rudy McGann, was born fighting for life. And he died also fighting for life. When he was 7 days old, they discovered that he had a heart murmur, and they performed operation from his groin to his heart. When I saw him that night with all the tubes in him, I couldn't go home to tell my wife what I saw. And I put out my little finger to him, and he held on to it like he was telling me, don't worry. It's not over yet. And I said, son, if we pull through this, if you need my right arm, it's yours. And I can't do without it because I'm right-handed. And we went through life like that, bearing at each other. But that's how he was with everyone. We moved from New York to Atlanta, and we were trying to keep him from playing sports, but he wouldn't want none of that. He went on the Gwinnett County soccer team, and that year they won the championship. We left Atlanta and moved to New Orleans, and he joined the ROTC, and in his last year he said, I think I should be an officer, but they're not going to let me be. I said, why is that? He said, I don't know, but they won't let me be. Well, I said, if they don't let you be the officer, I'll go down there and let them know who you are. He said, no, Dad, don't do that. So I think I was working down in Miami then, and he called and said, the next day, he called and said, I'm not just the officer, I am the chief commander. I said, I tell you wasn't to think like that, because everything you do good will live after you. He graduated from
from Brother Martin as a Golden Crusader, a privilege to only a few. And then went on to Howard. Did political science in his undergrad and law in his graduate school. He passed the bar for New York in its first time, which is only happened to a few. He was working at the Board of Elections, and he always boasts about he never lose a case. So it so happened that I had a case in Baton Rouge. The guy was suing me for a restaurant I built for him. And he came down and he won that one too. Just out of law school. He and I became very good friends. Okay, he and I became very good friends, not as father and son, but as buddies. And if anyone was to go to heaven, he's there. And we will always cherish and remember those thoughts. And just sleep tight, my son. Sleep right. And we'll meet again. Thank you all.
We're gonna walk out this way, okay?
I'm Thomas Joyner Jr. Come August of next year, 2022, I will have known Rudy for 30 years. Rudy and I met as freshmen at Howard University. We both stayed in the freshman male dormitory, Drew Hall. He was on the second floor, and I was on the fourth floor. Some of our friends like Dan Cooper and CeeLo Gill, Tone Barnes, and Ben Carter. To put this into context, the elevator at Drew Hall was always broken, so to get to where you're going, you had to walk up the stairs. And oftentimes, if you had to pass by the second floor, you would stay there for a while. Rudy lived with the dorm barbers, the fellas that had the Sega Genesis video consoles, the guys who had the big stereos with big speakers, so it was a really lively place to be. And if you lived in Drew Hall at that time, then you knew who Rudy was. He was the tallest, lankiest guy who obviously stood out in the dormitory. So some of my most major Howard memories involve Rudy, whether it was homecomings and homecoming concerts, late nights at the undergraduate library, hanging out in the Blackburn Center, we used to call Power Hall back then. We would go to Chuck Brown concerts at Tacoma Station. We would take road trips. Sometimes we went from DC to the Grand Canyon with our friend Malik. The Million Man March. And also, shout out to the 4th floor of the Howard Plaza Towers, East. I lived there with my roommate Gino. Rudy was there with his roommate Art McGann. We had Hayden, Ned, Kevin Led, Natalia Yo-Yo Albritton, Mia Lewis. Just great times. And it's safe to say that that's one of the best friends that I've ever had in life. Rudy and I were roommates. We were chess partners. He was a groomsman at my wedding. For my daughter Griffin and my son Thomas III, he's Uncle Rudy, and he's Griffin's godfather. So I'm going to miss you, homeboy. I'm going to miss you awful lot. Just know that I'll see you soon. Save me a spot at the lounge in the sky. Macumbo!
Hey everyone, my name is Seth Freeman, and I am so honored to participate in the life and celebration of my man Rudy McGann. Like many of you, I was super close to Rudy. That was my line brother. I was 12, he was 13, so that was my back. And I just want to share a quick story around why every single time I watch the movie Coming to America, I think of Rudy. So senior year, we were inseparable, me and him and Tom and the crew, and we were doing things that we should have been doing and doing things we probably shouldn't have been doing, but that was just senior year, and we just loved to hang out with each other so much. And so all of a sudden, there was a 3-day stretch where Rudy just vanished, just out of thin air. He was gone. And we were all calling around trying to figure out, have you seen Rudy? What's going on? What's happening? We were super concerned because Rudy just vanished. He disappeared. No one could find him. And we were probably even trying to page each other at the time. And you remember how ridiculous paging was. But anyway, so as quickly as he disappeared, then he reappears. And he just shows up at my house. And you guys know Rudy. Like, he just comes in all clumsily and loud and making a bunch of noise. And he's like, I'm in love. And you remember that scene from Coming to America where Eddie Murphy finally gets the girl and he's like, to be loved. Oh, what a feeling, to be loved. Well, that was Rudy's moment. He had met Natalie and they just hung out for like 3 days and nothing else mattered. They had walked and talked at the library and all this other kind of cool stuff. And he was in love. And he was convinced. It was like he was going to marry this woman. We were like, dude, what is this here? You're not going to marry this girl. But he actually did marry her. It's so crazy and it's so awesome. And I believe his voice even got deeper after hanging out with her for that weekend. But anyway, first of all, I just want to thank you, Natalie, for loving Rudy so well. You loved him so well, and he loved you so much. And also I want to thank you for the opportunity for allowing us to share in the love and the life and the expression of who Rudy was and who he became to be. Many blessings to you and to Bunny and to Maven and Maverick. Thank you so much for allowing us to participate in the life and expression of Rudy. Thank you.
My name is Lorenzo McCrae. I am one of Rudy's classmates from Howard University School of Law, class of 99. Rudy was loved. Like, he was loved through and was a dear friend to so many of us. There's nobody like him. And there's so many stories to tell from Howard. I don't even know where to begin. From our first year of law school, where something happened to Rudy's car, it broke down, and he decided to walk or run through Rock Creek Park to make a final. This was during our first year, and it was finals. And luckily, I think either Clayton or Andrew and Leslie saw him in the park and picked him up and drove him to school so he could make the final exam. But you know, Rudy's a go-getter. He was going to make it happen. And this is 96, so it's before cell phones. So what could you do? To Rudy hanging out with his BRC crew in his section, to he and I challenging one another to take classes that the other wasn't interested in. So I challenged him to take antitrust, and he challenged me to take government contracts. And luckily our GPAs didn't suffer, but we did it because we were boys. He's a lover of music. He's intelligent. He's a wordsmith, a chef, a Mr. Fix-It. He was joyful, exuberant, fun-loving, gifted. Rudy was a great guy. Like, there's nobody like Roots. We were all blessed to have him in our lives. And I'll hold on to those memories, during those times when I'm sad and missing him, you know, I can look back and still laugh. Like he gave me a lot during our 25 plus year friendship, and I thank him for that. And I love you, man, and I miss you.
Hi, this is Leslie Rowe. Andrew, my husband, and I met Rudy in law school. So many great stories to share about Rudy. We lived in the same building, Georgian Towers. We went to school together, in the same car. We would eat together. I even slept on his couch one night when I was locked out of my apartment. There was the spades. There was just so much. I was reflecting on a picture I found of Rudy holding Sekou, my oldest son, when he was just born. I was pregnant third year. And now Sekou is graduating from Howard. The McGann family holds a special place in our hearts. Howard holds a special place in our hearts. The Rowe family offers its sincere condolences to you, Natalie, Maven, and Maverick, and Rudy's dad, and the rest of the McGann family. Thank you for a chance to share.
Rudes, just want to pay tribute to you from the perspective of people who shot pool with you over the years. I looked up your stats and I saw that you played about 444 league matches since 2007 when you first joined APA. I'm not going to say what your individual win-loss record was over this time, but what I will say is that you were an absolute giant to the people in the league. I should probably say community though, because that's what you helped cultivate by being there almost every week for 14 years. What I admired most about playing with you was your ability to connect with anyone and everyone. New players, returning players, opposing teams, the bar and restaurant staff, everyone mattered to you. And no matter where we shot, if it was Babes, the Galaxy, Bank Shots, the places out in Virginia, and of course Buffalo Billiards, you know, the vibe was always more upbeat, always more lively, you know, whenever you were there, cracking jokes, telling stories, rocking the Touch Tunes jukebox, or, you know, being a great audience for somebody else's story. I can still see your laugh with the shoulders bouncing, you know, kind of like machine gun fire, you know, reacting to, you know, whatever you just heard. But, you know, it was a lot more than just, you know, facilitating a good time or putting together a bunch of winning teams. You were so selfless, forgiving debts and settling fights and giving rides. Now, I can't say that you bought all the beers, but that's only because it seemed like someone always owed you one, you know, for some favor that you had already done for them. Personally, you know, it was gold for me to be able to, you know, catch up with you once a week, you know, gain some wisdom, you know, share some stories. You did that for me, and I saw you do it for so many other people, you know, over the years. And, you know, it just kind of goes without saying that, you know, words can't describe how, you know, how much I'm going to miss you and how much, you know, you're going to be missed by others. So all I can really do is just say thank you. You know, thank you for, you know, so openly and, you know, lovingly, you know, accepting people into your world and for entering theirs, you know, without any reservation. Thank you for sharing your life with us.
As Rudy's next door neighbor of 2.5 years, I've had quite a few interactions with him. Some he was aware of, and others I was just making nosy observations. Rather, admirations. So I compiled a list of the top 10 things I'll miss about Rudy. Number 1, I'll miss seeing his smiling face walking up and down my front steps. He was the heart of the neighborhood and the first person to greet us when we moved in. 2, I'll miss hearing stories about Maverick playing soccer and Maven standing up for what's right. 3, I'll miss the 12-piece band at 3 a.m. during Howard's homecoming weekend. Then again, maybe I won't. 4, I'll miss the incredible smell of smoked barbecue on the weekends emanating from his yard. 5, I'll miss talking about our passion for saltwater fish tanks and how we flooded his own house. 6, I'll miss the excitement I always heard when he greeted friends and family at his front door. 7, I'll miss the taste of his delicious Jamaican jerk chicken on fight night. 8, I'll miss him watching over my house like a guardian angel whenever we were away from town. 9, I'll miss holding the ladder while it takes Tyrone a year to paint his house. And 10, lastly, I'll miss sharing a beer and life stories with my backyard best friend. He was remarkably humble, positive, and someone I really confided in. We love you, Rudy and family. Thank you for making Randolph Place feel like home.
Words of the Day, the Rudes Gansberg edition. Louisiana, New York, Maryland, D.C., Chocolate City, Howard, the Mecca, Double Bison, Homecoming, Open House, House Party, Food, so much food. Colleague, 441, Voter Enfranchisement, Candidate Ballot Access, Appellate Litigator, Winner, Election Observer, Egypt, Office Pools, 1015, Professor, Friend, Supporter, Brother, Brothers, Pershing Rifles, Alpha Phi Alpha, Bloody Beta, Mu Lambda, Music, Jazz, Hip Hop, Go-Go, Fun, Hobbies, Origami, Koi Pond, DIY, Facebook Fracases, Body of Art, Tats, Inking the Amendments, Sporting, Big Daddy Running Club, Triathlete, Pool, Coach, Basketball, Volleyball, Chauffeur, Hate, 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 Love, Gumbo, Rudolph Sr., Bev, Maven, Maverick, Natalie, Lost Signal, Reconnected, Forever. Thank you.
I've been trying to find the right words to really pay tribute to Rudy. Rudy was such a smart person that he could have a conversation with a person in a boardroom. He could have a conversation with a person in a pool hall. He could have a conversation with just anyone on the street. And he could completely have that person feeling completely at ease, like the only person that mattered at the time he was talking to them was that particular person. And that's a special talent that a lot of people don't have, but Rudy had it. He had the ability to make people feel good and feel comfortable around him. And he's someone who, as my cousin, I watched him grow from a baby through college, through law school. I mean, he turned into such a beautiful, beautiful person. And he's going to be truly missed by all of us. It's really hard for me to really pay tribute to him in a fashion that's so befitting of him, because he meant so much to so many people. And I just want Natalie, Maverick, Maven, Uncle Bunny to know that he is truly going to be missed, and the legacy that he's going to leave is going to live on. because there's so many people out there who he touched that they will carry it on, and we will carry it on. He's not someone that is going to be forgotten. My cousin, I truly, truly, truly loved him, and I am going to miss him. We are all going to miss him. So thank you for the time, and thank you for allowing me to say these few things. And I love you all. Natalie, Uncle Bunny, Maven and Maverick, may God bless you and keep you all. Thank you.
We're going to ask CeeLo to come up and give his tribute.
He liked them black, white, Puerto Rican, and Haitian. Named Rude's dog from the Zulu nation. Rude's had many best friends, but I was his best friend. I'm claiming that. He was my true best friend. My other best friend is Darian Hart. I've known since Lieutenant Colonel Darian Hart in the United States Air Force. He was from Howard University as well, and I've known him since I was 5 in Fort Ord, California, and Monterey. And that's because I didn't keep friends because I always moved a lot as an Army brat. So thank you, Darian, and your wife, Blady, for being here. I'm not going to belabor and state all of the things that Rudy's done. You all know that. Just know that Rudy was very loving. He was a blue-white star. He wasn't meant to be here for too long. They never last. The energy we give to people we love, Rudy gave it to everybody as very strongly as he could. And that's why it didn't last long. I just noticed in life, yes, we all die, but the good die young. And why we hurt so much? Because he was good. He was good. He was true. He was great. He was wonderful. I met Rudy back in 1992, my first day at Drew Hall. I thought I was the happiest person to be at Howard because Howard was my dream school. But Rudy had the biggest smile ever. Like I didn't see. He was the only one I knew was happier to be at Howard than me. And we're both from the South, and we were both preppy. But I think LaRon and those guys kind of turned Rudy, and he wasn't preppy anymore. Turned to the dark side. Jazz and other things. It's all good. I'll leave it at that. I was the one that kept Rudy good. So through all the strings, Rudy was our blueprint. Rudy was the blueprint. Rudy was that person that I can emulate to know that what I was going to be in life. Because early on, he married Natalie, and I was there, not to be the person that was excited. I was there when he met Natalie at the McDonald's by Howard University. I saw all his milestones, and he saw mine. Rudy was that person, like I said, was the blueprint that was just easy to follow because he made all the right decisions early on. Graduated from law school. He met Nat. He had his kids back in his early 20s, and always would mess with me because it's like, well, at least I'm going to be in my 40s and I can go out and enjoy life. You're going to be an old man with kids. And I don't even have any. But Rudy, as you all know, was just this fabulous person, this blue-white star. He just would never cease to amaze me with the things he's done, he would do in life, all the places he's been, all the people he affected. Another great story, when I was here in D.C., I left in 2005, but I started the Howard University homecoming Friday parties, and Rudy took it, of course, from there and made it even better. He used to cook the chicken at my parties, and the chicken would go so fast it couldn't even make it up to the kitchen. So I had him working, but back in 2018, I was like, hey, Rudes, I normally would stay with Rudy and Natalie for homecomings. I was down in the basement, and I was like, hey, man, I want to go to one of these parties. And again, Rudy, these parties, he had $100 meals. What would cost $100 at some of these fancy restaurants, Rudy gave for free from 6 p.m. to 4 a.m. He wasn't one of our classmates who charged you $100 to go to a packed party. He was one of those people that opened his house up. But what I was going to say, he got me back. He had me grating a block of cheese for his macaroni and cheese. I was like, dog, I hate this, man. Why am I doing this? He didn't allow me to go to one of these parties. Like, nah, dog, that's messed up. You got to stay here. You got to block. And I think Maverick said, yeah, I love doing this. I was like, why? This sucks. But I'm not going to belabor this. Just know that for my frat brothers, Rudy was Lil Frat. He was Joe Pledge. He was the diamond, and we know it. He held us down, all of us. Our line is, to me, the tightest in beta. I don't care what Spring 90 says. Masters forever. To the law school students, man, I mean, like I said, Rudy from undergrad to law school, he just kept coming up, and I met all of his friends, Mustafa, you know, Zoe, and plenty of other folks. I was trying to be like Rudy, so I'm just like, man, I'm just following him, all the law school parties, even in the picnic. I failed, but I tried. But, you know, I had somebody to follow that was doing the right thing. To buying the first home when you were in your mid-20s, I was right after y'all. Now they're worth a lot. To the family, just know that Rudy was monumental. He was, everyone that came across him, we were amazed. When I think of Howard University, I live in Columbus, Georgia. I went back home to Columbus, Georgia years ago. And when you think about Howard University and all the famous people that come from Howard, all I can think about is Rudy and his family. Because you all emulate what Howard and what Washington, D.C. is all about. And that's what we loved about y'all. To Natalie, well, first, Maverick and Maven. I was privileged to be Maven's goddaughter. Thank you. And I was close with Maverick, and he came to all my parties at the house. And he did some fun things. He had fun with grown-ups when he was young. That's why he knows how to be a good grown-up. You guys just know you got a family that is not just going to be here for this time, but we'll be here forever. Trust me, I know. We'll always be here for you. Don't think that your close friends and family are going to be gone after the funeral. We'll always be family. We'll always be there for you, whatever you need. Don't worry about it. To Natalie, Rudy's always loved you. He will always be in your heart. It doesn't feel good now, but I promise you, if you do the right things, he's going to always be there, and you're just going to continue to smile. He's going to be that blessing that even he may not be there physically, but he's going to always be there. Trust me. You were loved. Y'all had something special. Even my dad, you know, years ago was like, man, if I could do it all over again, I want to raise you, son, like how Rudy's raising his kids. And that's for real. And my dad did a pretty good job. But Rudy did it even better. So I say that all to say is like, take this time to celebrate Rudy. It doesn't feel good now because we're humans, we're mere humans, but if you have that core and you have that belief in Christ Jesus or Allah, whoever you believe in, just know that use that as your center and you'll make it through. And when you think about Rudy, you're going to always smile. I love you, Rudy. Thank you.
Before we go into the next song, asked to have Mustafa and Lorenzo come up and read the resolutions.
Good afternoon. The Board of Trustees of Howard University wishes to include in its official record an expression of sincere condolence to Dr. Natalie Hopkinson, alumna 1998 and professor in the Department of Communication, Culture, and Media Studies, Kathia Hughes School of Communications, on the passing of her beloved husband, Rudolph Michael Delano, Rudy McGann, Jr., Esquire, An alumnus of Howard University, Mr. McGann earned his undergraduate degree in political science from the former College of Liberal Arts in 1996 and continued his education at the Capstone, graduating in 1999 with a law degree from Howard University School of Law. Rudy, as he was affectionately known by his many friends, was an engaged student leader, an active member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated Beta Chapter, an exceptional scholar, and a Phi Beta Kappa inductee. As an attorney, Mr. McGann chose to focus on election law. He was a staff attorney for the District of Columbia Board of Elections, serving as legal counsel for the board on all matters before the courts and sharing his expertise with international delegations as an election monitor. Mr. McGann helped to train the next generation of attorneys as an adjunct professor at the David A. Clark School of Law, University of the District of Columbia. An exemplary husband, father, friend, and colleague, Mr. McGann will be remembered for his infinite kindness, generosity of spirit, and his commitment to Howard University's core values: excellence, truth, leadership, and service. Words cannot adequately express our heartfelt sympathy to Dr. Natalie Hopkinson, cherished children, Maven and Maverick, and their entire family. The board desires to convey that all our members share in their loss. Be it therefore resolved, this expression of sympathy in response to the death of Rudolph Michael Delano McGann, Jr., Esquire, be spread upon the minutes of the Board of Trustees of Howard University with sympathy and compassion. Thanks.
Good afternoon. Pursuant to a proclamation by Mayor Bowser, she states, on behalf of the residents of Washington, D.C., I wish to express my deepest condolences on the passing of your dear husband, son, father, family member, colleague, and friend, Rudolph Michael Delano McGann, Jr. A native of New York City, Rudy was born in 1974 to Beverly and Rudolph McGann, Sr. He was an eager learner, graduating with honors from Brother Martin High School in New Orleans. Rudy continued his scholastic pursuits at Howard University, where he studied political science, graduating Phi Beta Kappa, and earned his Juris Doctor from Howard University School of Law, class of '99. He also pledged the Beta Chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. Through more than 2 decades of work in the office of the General Counsel of the District of Columbia Board of Elections, Rudy made it his life's work to support the residents of Washington, D.C. through fair elections. He also taught legal research and writing as an adjunct professor at the University of the District of Columbia, David A. Clark School of Law. Rudy found his greatest joy spending time with his beloved wife, Natalie, and their children, Maverick and Maven, and his father, Rudolph Sr. He exemplified kindness, dedication, and enthusiasm, always encouraging those close to him to live life to the fullest. Rudy believed in community service and had a true gift for nurturing relationships and making people, even strangers, feel like they belonged. And whether a story from one of his epic family vacations or his many tattoos, serving up sought-after meals at Howard Homecoming until early in the morning, or traveling to Egypt in 2014 to help observe their first elections, his loving and indomitable spirit will live on in many of the small things in life we often take for granted. I join the McGann family in remembering Rudy and honoring a life very well lived. He will indeed be missed. As you mourn, please rely on the strength of love and support of your family and friends. Those we love do not go away. They walk beside us every day. And Rudy McGann leaves behind a beautiful and forever youthful legacy of service, devotion, light, and love, which will not be forgotten. May his memory always be a blessing and a profound guide for each of you, tomorrow and every day thereafter. To Natalie, to Maverick and Maven, to family and friends, and to all who love Rudy. Please know that you are in our thoughts and prayers during this difficult time. Mayor Muriel Bowser of Washington, D.C.
As we begin our next song, we're going to ask the nuclear family to come up and have a seat, and the next voice you'll hear is from Natalie.
Conclusion that but is the way of asking for permission to lay something heavy on one's head. So I have tried to not be the one who fell into that line, but what I feel inside, I think you should know. And baby, that's you. Made life's his story. 'Cause you brought some joy inside my tears. You have done what no one thought could be. You brought some joy inside my tears. I've always felt that tomorrow is for those who are too much afraid to go past yesterday and start living for today. I feel that lasting moments are coming, far and few between. So I should tell you all the happiness that you bring. Baby, baby, it's you. Made life his story. Oh, baby, you brought some joy inside my tears. Baby, you have done what no one thought could be. You brought some joy inside my tears.
Good afternoon, everyone. thank you so much for being here. I had to write it down because don't trust myself. LaRon, that was so beautiful, that saxophone. Thank you so much. It's so cathartic to just hear all the stories and the feelings. So the word of the day is saposexual. Oxford, of a person finding intelligence sexually attractive or arousing. Freshman year intro to political theory, Professor Don Davis handed back the test. No one got the extra credit question right. That was, except for one junior poli-sci major, Rudy McGann. Hearing this, Rudy rose from his seat, hands raised in victory. He did a little dance as if he just carried the ball over the 50-yard line. I thought it was the cutest thing I had ever seen. I told my roommate and childhood BFF, Allison Brown, about this cute tall guy with glasses. I told her about my crush, and then, as teen girls do, she went on to report Rudy sightings all over campus for the rest of the semester. Later that fall in 1995, I finally met Rudy at the McDonald's on Georgia Avenue. We hooked up for a whirlwind romance, and for months we burned bright, but then it ended rudely. A year and a half after our breakup, I published an essay in the Washington City paper. I described falling in love over jazz with this guy, but the relationship ended when the guy ghosted me during the great snowstorm of 1996. The essay was called Lost Signal, about lost jazz and lost love. I published that cringy, it really makes me cringe to read it now, earnest essay in 1997, not expecting to get a response. I never named him. He had moved on to law school by then, but a mutual friend told him about it. Rudy read the piece and he contacted me. The minute I saw him, we picked up the signal right back where we left off. It was as if no time had passed since the snowstorm. After we magically reconciled, I vowed to myself that I would treat each day with Rudy as a bonus. Enjoy it, but you never know when it might end. As far as I was concerned, it was all gravy, or better yet, dessert. Today, if you had told 18-year-old me that Rudy McGann would be gone at 46, I'm not sure what I would have made of it. And I'm still figuring it out now. But for now, I just want to tell you a little bit about our lives and what a bonus that lasts 24 years looks like. I've been overwhelmed by the outpouring of love since the news of Rudy's passing. I got this letter from my friend Sam that's worth quoting in full because I think it sums up the parallel but different paths Rudy have had over the years. I was one of Sam's editors when the Root first started, right before Obama's first term. We stayed in touch over the years, and he and his wife came to see a talk I gave on Martha's Vineyard not that long ago. I had just spoken to Sam about maybe a couple months ago to congratulate him on a new job that he got. And last week he wrote me this note. He said, "Dearest Natalie, I just learned of Rudy's passing from your Twitter post. I'm deeply and doubly saddened. First of all, I knew Rudy from my brief membership in the Mu Lambda chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha. He was among the kindest, most generous of the brothers. I remember him especially because he prepared our dinners, delicious and creative. As we say, Rudy was a brother's brother. Secondly, I had no idea he was your husband." I think that's just the Rudy and Nataliest story ever, because Rudy did not belong to me, and I did not belong to him. We were just two lonely planets orbiting around the same sun. Our children, our home in Bloomingdale, our West Indian parents and sensibilities, music, food, politics, our Howard University community,
this beautiful city, and the range of humanities that we have encountered all around the world. From the very beginning, me and Rudy were a vibe. First, it was a jazz riff, then there was a lot of 90s hip hop. Later, he got into classic soul. Our lives felt like tumbling down a hill together. It was so easy, so gentle, so loving. The connection was electric. We both loved the street sounds, living in a tall Victorian house, but connected to our neighbors and the wide swath of humanity. Neighborhood characters like Daryl Big Daddy Fogan, Tony, who struggled with addiction, but had a heart of gold. Tony, just R.I.P., rest in peace to him. I just learned that he passed. There was Mr. Mumbles, who was mentally challenged, but rode his bike around our neighborhood singing with the voice of an angel. Rudy always called it the voice of an angel. The Naternos, the Purcells, the Arthurs, the Doziers, the Saxton Rosses, the McCrays, the Brown Andrews, Jacksons, Woodruffs, all these other beautiful families making a go of making a family in the city. Although earlier than planned, the arrival of our first child when I was 23 and Rudy was 25 was even more of a vibe. Parenting with Rudy is like riding an electric bike. Raising kids and paying bills, that takes pedaling, which requires effort, but pairing with Rudy gave it the extra juice. Rudy took our kids with him everywhere. He took them to the office when they had days off of school. On Sundays, they had football parties at Uncle CeeLo's house. People ask me how I finished grad school in my first book. It was Sundays at Uncle CeeLo's house when he took my kids. He left his job promptly at 4:45 so that he could do kid pickup. He refused to accept thanks. He always told me, I am not babysitting. Don't thank me. These are my children. I am their dad. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. During the teen years, I mean, we laughed constantly. He didn't sleep. So I have a clip that I hope that we could play, and I'll just give you the setup. So he's on our roof deck. We have a security system through the phone, and he's noticing some strange activity. And so he's able to talk through the phone. So can we play the clip?
Sleep.
Where y'all going? Where you going?
It's not a walk.
Walk where?
Down the street.
Get your asses back in the house. It's 1 in the morning. It's past curfew.
What?
Get back in the house. It's past curfew.
I have a car.
What?
I have a car. We just walk around.
Come up the steps and talk to me.
We don't
What?
have a car. We just walk around. He doesn't know the neighborhood.
Where is he walking to?
We're just walking down the street. There's nothing.
No. Go ahead, come back inside. Y'all can sit your ass down and watch some Netflix and chill. I don't know what you think this is. Yup. Technology. Sit y'all asses down. Fuck wrong with y'all?
Oh, that has been all over the world. We've just cracked up laughing at that. We loved our summers when we sent the kids away to New Orleans for the summer. And thank you again to Bunny. That's another reason why I did my books and my grad school, was because we had the summers off. But it also was a chance for me and Rudy to connect, and we were just these young people. We were fortunate to have great friends who invited us on trips. We traveled most of the Caribbean on the Tom Joyner cruise. Most recently, we ended up in Beirut with a new friend. I will never forget the day that we visited a Palestinian camp in Lebanon. A shoemaker left his stand and made a beeline for Rudy, the 6'5" black man of the group. He told him, "You are always welcome in our camp." Rudy instantly made friends with people wherever he went. Often it was the sharing of food, often it was music. Our 20th anniversary would be on May 20th. He wanted to take me to Morocco so that we could renew our vows. I thought that traveling in a pandemic when battling brain cancer seemed unwise. And so I asked him to make me an old school mixtape of love songs instead. So he started working on it. He had 150 songs on the playlist so far. So he's still working on it. Rudy was such a life force. He had so much love, so much energy, so much goodwill, so much need to connect with humans in every sphere of life. His endless passions kept him up all night. He hated to see each day end. Rudy packed so much love in 46 years. Everyone literally fed off his energy source. But for me, Rudy has been an anchor, a safe harbor in this beautiful and ugly world. He's my solace. He's my courage. He's my comfort. He's my peace. He came home to me every night, no matter how angry he got. We connected, and he held me as we slept. Every day I woke up restored to face another day. I'm trying to think of how to move forward without this life force, his energy, his sense of humor, his intensity, his passion, this love in my life. All I can do is to keep hearing the music. Thank you.
It's kind of a tough act to follow. I'm just going to say a few things about my dad. My dad was like a person who just really cared about his community. And I think one way he did that was by cooking for everyone, whether it was homecoming or my team bonding volleyball sleepovers, or driving someone home when we didn't even have a car, or letting someone stay the night if they needed to or even just wanted to. I think one of my dad's values was definitely kindness. I remember before his first surgery, I specifically asked him what life lessons that I could learn from him, and he told me just be kind to people, which seems pretty simple, but people can be jerks sometimes, so I know it can be rough too. But yeah, I'd really appreciate it if you could just remember my dad by being kind to people, and we really appreciate all of your thoughts and prayers and your kind words. And I just really, really, really appreciate you guys reciprocating my dad's energy by giving us all the delicious food you've been sending and all the beautiful flowers. Our house is like, it smells delicious. So thank you so much, everyone.
Good afternoon, everybody. My last conversation with him was after a game. We were coming back from GW. He said that he couldn't find it anywhere because it wasn't on an ESPN stream, and he couldn't be in the stands because of COVID. And he saw on a notification, and he just said, I saw you shot, and it hit the crossbar. Like, keep shooting, stay up. And it's just profound, I think, because that's the last thing he said to me. That's the last message I received from him, and I think that's just a message for everybody to just stay up, keep going, keep fighting, because that's exactly what he was doing the whole time. The whole time he was going through this, he was fighting. I appreciate all of your support and your kindness. Like it's just proof that just of how great of a person he was. You guys are all there for us, and I just really appreciate that. Really do. Really scared. I'm really frightened. And it just feels surreal. Just thank you guys. Thank you for everything. I hope everybody can just continue that zest for life, you know, that just interest to like want to understand people, no matter what. Like whoever he talked about his brother Martin friends on Facebook. He loved understanding different perspectives all the time, and so that's what I implore you all to do. Just be kind, be generous, be loving, and just be open. Thank you guys so much. Thank you.
Perfect.
Y'all can do better than that. Y'all can do better than that. If you don't get on your feet and clap your hands for Rudy McGann and the family that he's left here, the legacy.
God bless you all. On behalf of the family, just want to thank you for coming out this afternoon. There's a second line procession that is going to happen. You have some rules of the house that I want to lay down for you. Please allow for the family, his first couple of rows, as well as his line brothers, to exit as we play Johnny Hathaway. And you will be meeting at the Duke Ellington statue, preparing for that second line. There's a list of individuals that'll get white handkerchiefs. They should know who they are, as well as family that are able to walk to Crispus Attucks Park. The rest of you will be able to join and meet at Crispus Attucks Park for beignets. I know I'll be there. Because of COVID, there's a small repast, and it's just going to be very intimate with the close family and friends. I want to remind you and those that are online watching that there's an opportunity for you to give a gift in memory of Rudy. You can go on giving.howard.edu/give now. But don't stop there. This is the most important. You want to click under designation other, and then write Rudy McGann Scholarship Fund, and that's spelled RUDES, McGann Scholarship Fund. I want to thank everyone again for coming and making this celebration what it is today. I'm going to ask the production company to put on Song For You by Donny Hathaway while the family proceeds out. Thank you.
been so many places in my life and time. I've sung a lot of songs, I've made some bad rhymes. I've acted out my life in stages with 10,000 people watching. But we're alone now, and I'm singing this song to you. I know your image of me is what I hope to be. I treated you unkindly, but darling, can't you see? There's no one more important to me. Baby, can't you see through me? 'Cause we're alone now, and I'm singing this song to you. You taught me precious secrets of a true love, withholding nothing. You came out in front when I was hiding. But now I'm so much better, and if my words don't come together, listen to the melody, 'cause my love is in there hiding. No space or time. I love you for my life. You're a friend of mine. And when my life is over, remember when we were together. We were alone, and I was singing this song to you. Where there's no space or time. I love you for my life. You're a friend of mine. And when my life is over, remember when we were together. We were alone, and I was singing this song to you. We were alone, and I was singing this song to you. We were alone, and I was singing this song. Singing this song to you.